Donc pour le dérouler, je sais qu'on a une partie des intervenants en visio sur cette table ronde qui sera un tout petit peu différente. On a beaucoup évoqué déjà lors de la première partie des échanges le fait qu'on n'était pas dans une bulle quand on parlait du développement durable des villes en France ou des villes françaises, qui avait aussi toujours cet aspect de valorisation du savoir-faire français à l'international, mais aussi d'échange pour valoriser les bonnes expériences dans le contexte français, et que c'était aussi l'intérêt du positionnement et du développement de la labellisation VDI, ou en anglais Smart and Sustainable Cities Award, si je ne dis pas de bêtises. Et du coup, pour explorer ces différentes dimensions complémentaires, je vous propose de nous mettre en place avec, je vais inviter Naïm Kerouwala, qui est directeur des programmes National Institute for Urban Affairs à New Delhi en Inde. Naïm, please join me on stage. Et deux collègues du Maroc, monsieur Anas LARIACHI, chef de service à la division Environnement et Propreté à la Direction générale des collectivités territoriales, Ministère de l'Intérieur au Maroc. Bienvenue, monsieur LARIACHI. Je vous invite à monter sur scène. Et Oussama ALAMI MARROUNI, directeur de projet à l'Université Internationale de Rabat. Je vous en prie. Gérard Wolf, le président de la task force Ville durable MEDEF Internationale, nous rejoindra tout à l'heure. Et sont en ligne, ou devraient nous rejoindre en ligne incessamment, Patrick Child, qui est directeur général adjoint à la DG Environnement au sein de la Commission européenne, Bernard Gindroz, qui je crois lui est là, fondateur de BMGI Consulting, mais qui a également d'autres responsabilités, notamment en matière énergétique et en matière de certification ISO sur la labellisation ville durable, ville et communauté durable. Bonjour Bernard Gindroz. Et normalement, mais je sais qu'elle avait quelques problèmes de connexion, Wallis Goelen, expert senior auprès de la Commission européenne, cette fois-ci pour la DG Régio. Voilà, donc le volet cohésion territoriale, le volet environnement, et puis des coopérations internationales que souhaitent développer les porteurs conjointement du label VDI Efficacity, bien sûr, avec le CEREMA et l'Université Gustave Eiffel. Je salue son président, Gilles Roussel, qui nous a rejoint aussi pour la dernière partie de nos échanges. Je vais passer à l'anglais. On n'a pas de dispositif de traduction, mais ça devrait le faire. Naïm, thank you very much for joining. We met last week. Bruno Bessis earlier on referred to the World Urban Forum in Katowice. You are Program Director with the National Institute for Urban Affairs. In New Delhi, you have been a partner, a long-standing partner in the discussions with the development of this Smart and Sustainable City Award approach, and you are also involved in a number of very important cooperation programs with the French Development Agency, AFD, right? So I suppose that you got bits and pieces of the first part of the discussion, and thank you for joining. Just like to start with you maybe with the first series of open thoughts about with the Indian experience, right, which is a 1.4 billion inhabitant country. How does these discussions about standard, new approach to standards, which are also processes of transformation, how does this resonate first? And how do you plan to further develop that?
Thank you very much, Nicolas. Bonjour. First of all, thanks to Michelle and the team at Efficacity for inviting me. Like Nicolas mentioned, we have a very long standing relationship with France and with various French agencies. The program that I lead, it's called Cities, City Investments to Innovate, Integrate and Sustain. It is funded by AFD through a 100 million euro loan to Government of India. And we are also on the verge of finalizing another program related to climate, for which we are getting another 100 million. So we are getting around 200 million euro loan from AFD. And there is also, we have a lot of very strong relationship with Sciences Po Urban School, with various organizations, including Efficacity. So very, very happy to be here. And regarding the standards, I think it's a very important tool that I think the government as well as the think tanks are looking at it. We started various initiatives, such as we have Ease of Living Index, which looks at how basically the people in the cities can have a more livable lifestyle. Then we also have something called a municipal performance index. So one thing is how the citizens perceive and how their life is eased living in a city, and also the thing is how the cities themselves are performing. Because when you look at a municipal performance index, you also look at the processes and governance mechanisms. Are the governance mechanisms in place? Are their finances in proper conditions or not? Because like Nicola mentioned, we are almost like 1.3 billion people in India, and out of which almost 40% lives in cities. So we have like a massive urban population. The number of cities in India is 4,800. We have 4,800 cities in the country. So you can imagine the kind of the scale that we are dealing with.
I'm just interrupting you. We will continue exactly on that.
Yeah.
We have Patrick Child only for a brief moment with us from the European Commission, so I suggest we have the video with Patrick, and then we will follow up promptly on those aspects and dimensions. Patrick, bonjour, good morning. I know you have a brief moment, but thank you very much for joining us this morning.
You see and hear me, or is there still an issue?
We can hear you, so we could at least start. We will see you probably shortly. Everything seems to be working. And so thank you very much for joining us. Yes, we can see you. Absolutely. Fantastic. So we were just starting with our Indian colleague, but since you have a very limited time, so we'll skip to you about this issue: mission of climate neutral and smart cities, multi-level governance, multi-stakeholder partnerships. There is a lot happening now in Europe, especially about cities and local urban development, localization of sustainable development policies. What would be your overall vision and your recommendations as we are here launching a new process, which is not just a label, but also maybe a future standard for sustainable cities? The floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for your flexibility with the timing, but it's a real pleasure for me to be able to join you today from Brussels in my role as the mission manager of the European Union's Horizon Europe mission on climate neutral and smart cities, which has the objective of supporting in particular 100 cities across the European Union to become climate neutral by 2030. I mean, as we've heard, cities obviously play a pivotal role in support of the European Union's flagship policy, the European Green Deal, and that whereas only occupying 4% of our overall land area, they're home to 75% of our citizens and consume 65% of energy and account for more than 70% of global CO2 emissions. And that's why I think it's so exciting that we see at the moment the mobilization of cities who are ready to rise to the challenge of decarbonisation and take a lead. This was really, when I was at the COP26 meeting in Glasgow last year, a very visible manifestation of the sort of mobilization of mayors. And that's why in the European Union, with the support of our research and innovation program, Horizon Europe, we have identified this mission around supporting 100 climate neutral and smart cities by 2030. And we've had an amazing response. I mean, we are trying to get a group of 100 cities, which were selected earlier this year with also 12 cities from neighboring associated countries, but out of a field of applicants of 377 cities. So really, only 1 in 4 cities we were able to take on board in this first phase. But the good news is that the 100 cities are 12% of the EU population. And it's great to have 5 French cities in the group, Angers, Bordeaux, Dijon, Dunkerque, Grenoble, Lyon, Marseille, Nantes, and Paris. But also thanks to the many others who applied. So, I mean, I think that, the initiative that we're discussing today and the importance of joining forces as much as we can across different levels of governance and to federate the various initiatives that we see to support cities, including the label of the Ville durable et innovante that we are developing today with the activities of CEREMA and Efficacité. This is, very much, we very much welcome your participation in our Net Zero Cities Consortium, which is supporting the development of the cities mission at a European level. And we are very happy also to see both CEREMA and France Ville Durable participating in the Groupe Miroir that is working alongside your Ministry of Higher Education and Research and the Ministry of Transition Écologique. So I think we're in a really good space in working together to bring initiatives at national level, such as the one we have here today, but with the work that we're doing at European level, with the shared objective of helping to harness this genuine enthusiasm that we see from the cities across Europe, but also in France, and eager to think about some of the questions you wanted to discuss with us.
Yes, thank you. I don't know this way. Thank you very much. Just one question. What would be the next steps in terms of engagement? I understand that the mission on climate and neutral smart cities, the 100 cities that are now in the program, everything here is new, right? And with the next steps of the development of this label VDI or Smart and Sustainable Cities Award, it's also a next steps of previous development that combine territorial development, research, advocacy, and development. What could be the next practical, useful steps for everyone, either in the European context, or I'm thinking you were mentioning COP26, there is a COP27 coming up soon, and there will be also for the first time in a COP a dedicated panel or meeting or summit of ministers of sustainable urban development. Should that be an objective for a shared, I would say, advocacy between the European Commission and the partners of this label?
Okay. Well, look, several dimensions there. I mean, firstly, in terms of the next steps for the EU cities mission, following a very successful launch event that we had to present our sort of work program to the 100 selected cities in June, the immediate priority is to work with the chosen cities to develop what we call climate city contracts, a sort of multi-stakeholder engagement, which would then articulate both the plans to deliver the climate neutrality goals, but also to identify potential sources of funding in we hope, coherent and credible investment strategy. And so the immediate challenge is to now advance with those climate city contracts in the next months, which, once they're validated, we think will be a sort of powerful magnet for political initiatives, for funding, and really mobilizing around this shared objective. In parallel, we are seeking to set up in each of the EU member states a sort of national platform where the cities which are part of our mission will be a sort of central part, but we'll be open to other cities that have shown interest in this initiative so that, best practice and networking can be promoted. And there, I think that the initiative that you're advancing for the VDI and other national schemes that can complement our EU action are extremely, extremely welcome. Of course, going perhaps broader than just climate neutrality, but also addressing the other aspects of sustainability and environmental protection. You mentioned also the COP27 coming up, which is, I agree with you, always a very important rendezvous, where I hope we will indeed have an opportunity to bring together a really rich constellation of representatives of the cities, communities, and relevant national authorities, really to give a boost in both visibility and political momentum to what we're doing together. So I certainly hope to be there and look forward to meeting many of you on that occasion.
Patrick, thank you so much for joining, for sharing updated information about the next steps of the development of the platform 100 climate neutral, and smart cities, and the opportunities to team up and to link with the development of VDI or SSCA. Thank you very much again. And so we will, just for your information, we'll continue our conversation today with partners from India, with the National Institute for Urban Affairs, which should be the focal point in the G20 next year for urban development. That's also a dimension, and with colleagues from Morocco. So we are also keen to support urban development, sustainable development, and the EU vision, right, internationally. Thank you again, Patrick Child. Have a nice day, and we will continue here in Paris with our colleagues. À bientôt.
À bientôt, merci. Au revoir.
Merci, merci. So someone else is also online, and that will complement what Patrick was saying. Then we will get to you, Naïm. Sorry again for interrupting. Bernard Gindroz, est-ce que vous êtes là, Bernard?
Oui, je suis là.
Alors, on a le son, on devrait avoir l'image. Voilà, on vous voit parfaitement, avec même un logo qui est presque celui avec les couleurs des objectifs de développement durable. Ça, c'est des sujets que vous pratiquez depuis longtemps. Vous connaissez aussi bien l'écosystème d'Efficacity. Vous avez entendu ce que indiquait Patrick Child. Quelle est aujourd'hui votre vision des opportunités de développement d'une approche comme celle de VDI, j'allais dire en dehors de nos frontières, à la fois dans une logique de partenariat en Europe et dans une dimension internationale?
Je vais continuer en anglais comme
oui.
ça avait été prévu, je pense, si
oui,
ça va pour vous.
Allez-y.
Ok. Bien, écoutez, thank you very much for inviting me to this panel. I would like also to give a special good morning to all panelists. With my apologies not being able to be face to face with you. Back to standards, as you said, the main goal concerning sustainable development of cities and communities are about quality of life for all citizens, but also a full and permanent environmental consideration and respect and resource efficiency. Moving to climate neutral cities, we heard this from Patrick before, is also a focus point while improving quality of life to all. And with this in mind, the major reference models, including advanced labels and initiatives, as well as, of course, the standardization development, all these initiatives need performance indicators to support the definition and the setting of mid and long-term objectives, and also to follow progress and impacts of all the actions implemented against the expected goals. And in this context, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals initiatives, with its 17 goals, represents a coherent and common set of indicators worldwide. And there are also strong requests from the cities to align all our support tools and initiatives with these development goals. We can consider business as usual in our future strategies. There is also an urgent need for drastic changes in the way we plan further development. And innovation at cities and communities, territories levels is thus essential. And most relevant models and tools in support of cities and territories' sustainable development are those that integrate innovation at any stage of their multi-sectoral integrated strategies. And this is also what Efficacity is doing now. It's also a full part of the resilience strategies that standardization development organization systematically consider in their work. So I think innovation and multi-stakeholders cooperation or partnership, including also citizens are participants to decision-making process and governance, are the essential ingredients towards successful sustainable development. Anticipating also the large evolution of our worldwide demography, and also especially all climate-related issues. I mean rarefication of resources, but also climatic migration. Innovation is also a key factor when considering local context, and I'm very happy to see that in the different approaches of Efficacity, innovation is one of the, let's say, key priorities. Just to maybe conclude, I think what needs to be understood in such a context is that cooperation between initiatives towards complementary support tools rather than competition between initiatives is a must. We need to move to actions, we need to innovate, we need to cooperate. And if standards are based on best practices, labels, related initiatives as efficacities today are excellent and efficient manner to move to innovation and successful development. It's practical, it's pragmatic, and this is what we need towards feeding the standardization work, and keeping in mind that standards are usually a booster for scaling up and replication. It is also very important to consider the local context, and that's also another, let's say, benefit from the label, because the local context, including the culture, local culture, is considered. And what is very important is to keep the local identity of a city. People are proud of their identity. We need, through these sustainable development, to keep this identity, historical heritage, cultural heritage, and local context.
Merci, c'est parfait. Merci beaucoup Bernard. Naïm, so we heard about this European-wide framework, which might resonate also with the programs you are developing with the Institute in India, and with partnership with AFD and other bilateral and multilateral partnerships. And Bernard reminded us timely about the link between innovation, transformation, local practices and engagement. So before I was interrupting you, you were like briefly describing the programs led by NEUA, but maybe getting to the point of our discussion this morning, how do you feel there could be a benefit for further partnering between NEUA and the consortium that is behind the standard, the label VDI, or Smart and Sustainable Cities Award?
Oh, thanks, Nicola. And I think before I come to that answer that particular question of collaboration, I think I'll briefly mention about what's already out there existing, which also kind of gives a window into how can you further collaborate. So right now, for example, when you look at smart and sustainable city, India has the government of India and the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in India, through the National Institute of Urban Affairs, is kind of launched something called CSCF, which is Climate Smart Cities Assessment Framework. And through CSCF, we are actually assessing 126 cities across India on 28 different parameters. And this is happening since past 3 years. So since past 3 years, we're actually doing that assessment. And right now we are actually in process with efficacy to say, how can we combine our framework on the Climate Smart Cities Assessment Framework, the Ease of Living, the Urban Outcomes Framework, the Municipal Performance Index. We also have something called the Data Maturity Assessment Framework. Build all those frameworks into one consolidated idea, which in a way brings us into this area of collaboration or kind of cooperation with the consortium that we are that is available, this part of the conversation today. So there is immense amount of scope. Like I said, there are 4,800 cities. It's impossible to reach out to every single one of them, but we are looking at the bigger cities where the majority of the population actually lives. So we have this 126 cities, which actually covers wide majority of the urban population. So I'll actually invite all of you to please visit our website as well. It's called the Climate Data Observatory, C. on our website. So you'll find detailed data sets for 126 Indian cities on 28 indicators available on our website. You can download them as well. And that's very important. And I think also the previous speaker talked about innovation and successful development. I think I must mention that we have a very, very strong support from our partners, including AFD, and I must mention European Union, because